have to watch the NBA finals and they have world champion on their head. World champion of what? The United States? Don't get me wrong. I love the US at times, but that ain't the world. That is not the world. We are the world. We have almost every country out here fighting, thriving, putting on their flag to show that they are represented. There ain't no flags in the NBA. You know, the thing that hurts me the most is that I have to watch the NBA finals and they have world champion on their head. World champion of what? The United States? Don't get me wrong. I love the US at times, but that ain't the world. That is not the world. We are the world. We have almost every country out here fighting, thriving, putting on their flag to show that they are represented. There ain't no flags in the NBA.
Yes, sir, guys. Yes, sir, Bob. Yeah. That's how we gonna start off. Oh, and I did not realize that USA almost. Wow. So I did not know that USA almost got. I didn't know that they barely survived Josh Giggity in Friends. Somebody said Josh Diddy in the comments instead of Josh Giddy. That is hilarious. I was calling him Josh Giggity. Giggity, 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 giggity. Oh man, I cannot believe he got away with what he got away with. I can't believe that. Oh man. But yeah, man, we definitely gotta speak on Team USA basketball. We do gotta speak on Team USA basketball. Because these people, man, like I have so much to say about Team USA basketball, really US American sports just in general. You know, I got no problem with the track athletes here in America. I respect them. And even to a lesser, but like obviously the swimmers, the rugby players here, right? But even though we do have a lot of great athletes in our American football, right, and basketball, I don't respect the title when or particularly in baseball, right, where we'll say, "Oh, we're world champions," but particularly with these sports like baseball, basketball, and American football, it's only played it's only played in America. So why do we call ourselves world champions? But let's speak on USA basketball because I find it interesting. They don't even understand what's going on. They don't understand the transition. They still don't get it. Like the best basketball players in the NBA right now, they're all foreigners. Right. Let's look something up real quick, right? If we search up top 10 NBA players in the NBA, and I'll say off the top of my head, I'd say you got what's it? Jokic, right? Doncic, Giannis. Like literally off the top of my head, the top 3 players I can think of, they're all foreigners. They're not American. And the American players that people regard as the best American players, they're all over like 35. The only shining American star that we have is Anthony Edwards. Really, no disrespect to a Jason Tatum, but that's like our only like shining star under 25 years old is Anthony Edwards. This is why when I saw let's bring up the FIBA squad, the FIBA. Let me see the FIBA USA basketball team 20. When did they lose to the the 2023 FIBA World Cup, right? Let's see something here. I gotta look up the roster of the United States who was on that team. So we had Tyrese Halliburton, Michael Bridges, Cameron Johnson, Brandon Ingram, Paolo Banchero, Bobby Portis, Anthony Edwards, Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Jaron Jackson, Walker Kessler, and Austin Reeves. Now, this is what people don't understand. When we came to, I forgot which country they held these games at. Let me check. Um, I don't know where this was. I forgot. Let me see. Where it was held. Let's see what country it was held in. The host. Oh, in Philippines, Japan. Okay, it was held in Philippines, Japan, and Indonesia. Right. So when we came with this squad, this was right after Noah Lyles made that comment. Right.
Hurts me the most is that I have to watch the NBA finals and they have world champion on their head. World champion of what? The United States? Don't get me wrong. I love the US at times, but that ain't the world. That is not the world. We are the world. We have almost every country out here fighting, thriving, putting on their flag to show that they are represented. There ain't no flags in the NBA.
So when that happened, I remember Noah Lyles, the track runner. He got a lot of hate. And so I remember then the FIBA World Cup was like literally right after those comments, and then it was a lot of particularly FBAs that were talking cash ish. And then when they lost, when USA was losing these games, because they lost a lot, they was losing games in the FIBA World Cup. They were losing games in that. They lost at least 2 or 3 times, if I'm not mistaken. And then they lost in the quarterfinals or the semifinals. I don't remember. I think it was the semifinals. They lost. They lost to Germany, if I'm not mistaken. And it was it was black America. It was particularly black Americans, but a lot of Americans were making excuses, and I was like, guys, this isn't good, because these are supposed to be our young stars, our young American stars. That's what people don't understand. People are, oh, it was a C team, it was the B team. I'm like, guys, we had rookie of the years on there, former rookie of the years. You know what I mean? We obviously were missing a couple of people, but obviously the people that we were missing, like the John Morants of the world, the Zion Williamson, we were missing them because they were caught up in nonsense. So that's a whole other story. So I'm like, these are our young American stars. This is a problem. It's almost, I compare it to, remember when people were shocked when America didn't qualify for the 2018 World Cup, right? But people didn't understand, like, when you looked at the younger squads coming up the ranks, they were losing it. They were losing all their U19 games, their U20 games, their U20. They didn't qualify for the Olympics, their U23 squad. And you have to pay attention to the younger squads of the national teams, because those are going to be the same players. They're going to become pros, and then eventually they will be a lot of those players will replace the senior players of the national team, right? So this is why I found that concerning, because these are supposed to be our young stars. These are supposed to be the people that are supposed to replace the LeBrons of the world, the Steph Currys of the world, these people, right? Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant, because these guys are got like LeBron's isn't LeBron 40? Steph Curry's 36, Durant is 36. They're not going to be there in the next Olympics. This team right here, this team that was losing and struggling in the FIBA World Cup, This is basically going to be the team of the next Olympics. Not sorry, not this year's Olympics. I'm talking about the Olympics in 20 what's it? 2028. In Olympics 2028, this is most likely going to be a lot of the players are going to be on that team. And look how they were struggling. So this is a problem. So this is where America, or just when we talk about the United States, they need to pay attention and they need to make the necessary changes. They need to make the necessary changes at youth level. You know what I mean? We gotta because the way we're developing players, particularly in basketball, has been poor. And it's gonna catch up to us. And we got to stop making excuses. Oh, that's not even the A team. That was the B team, the C team. And I'm like, you think Germany's team was like full of all stars as well? First of all, this is supposed to be our sport. We're supposed to be able to bring our U23 team, right? That's what the USA used to be able to do. They used to be able to just bring their U23 team, in the 80s, right? In the 90s, or in the past 70s and 60s, and they would just win their portion of the Olympics with the U23 squad, right? Now that if you're failing at that level or just not being successful at that level, these are going to be the players these are supposed to be America's next stars, and they're just not cutting it. They're not cutting it. Zion, we talking about, and then on top of that, we were missing a lot of players, a lot of talent. When we talk about Zion Williamson, because he's never healthy and he's always caught up in mess. And then John Morant, same thing, injuries, and he's caught up in mess. So that doesn't help things either. That doesn't help things either. But let me talk about the current Team USA basketball team. Let me see if I can bring up like just them in general. Team USA basketball. Let's see, they got the news, whatever. Oh, okay. So I guess people were writing articles because they saw the near, it was a close match. Well, they're saying that they were up 20 points, but then they almost got Australia basically almost made a comeback, a come from behind victory, and USA ends up only beating them by 2 points in the exhibition match. Just to let you, that was an exhibition match. That wasn't an Olympics match. That's just the exhibition. The warm up matches until the Olympics actually start. Also, where is the Olympics being held? If I'm not mistaken, let me find that out real quick. I can't. I think it's being held in. Oh yeah, it's being held in France. Yeah, it's being held in France, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just search. Let me search, just double check. 2024 Olympics. Yep. In Paris. Yep, in Paris, specifically in Paris. So yeah, that's gonna be very interesting. That's gonna be very interesting. Oh yeah, and then he got like there's new sports gonna be added into the Olympics. Yeah, yeah. They got breakdancing now as an official sport in the Olympics. That is that is wild. That is wild, man. Okay, so enough of that. Enough of that. But let's focus on Team USA basketball. So who did they had starting versus the Australia team? So they had Curry, Jason Tatum, Embiid, and sorry, so I guess they had Curry. Yeah, so Curry, Jason Tatum, LeBron James, Anthony Edwards, and Embiid. So that's who they had starting versus Australia. Now, damn, those are supposed to be our top American stars, most of them. And they probably had KD coming off the bench or whatever. So those are supposed to be our guys. But I think this Olympics is going to be the last time where Team USA basketball is going to be the overwhelming favorites. I think this is the last time where they will come into the tournament and be favorites. So I hope, like I said the same thing with the USA women's national team. I hope they, in terms of their soccer team, because what happens is, particularly if we talk about USA men's basketball, everybody, like, the world has caught up. The world has caught up with USA basketball, and they have stars. They have their own stars now, and now their stars from their countries are now coming into the NBA and becoming the biggest stars in the NBA, or the best players in general. So so like I said, we're this is gonna be the last time where we could be like, okay, we're sending Big Brother over and they finna sweep everybody. And even in this, I'm saying in this Olympics, they could lose. They are definitely I don't think it's no it like for me, it's 50-50 whether or not USA is gonna take home gold. It's not guaranteed that they're gonna take home gold. I That's what I believe. The world has caught up, and that fear factor of these players is just not there anymore. They don't fear USA anymore. And then on top of that, these countries, they're going to go out of their way and they're gonna give you Team USA their best, because Americans are thought to be arrogant, not being very well cultured. They're not really respectful. So, like I said, you'll have Americans, like particularly American football players, American basketball players, American baseball players. They win their championship, and then they say they are world champions, which is just not true. Just technically, it's just not true. But that's, that's part of that's all part of the game. Let me see. Did I miss anything? Pyro said almost lost. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about with the Team USA with Australia. USA won only by like 2 points, if I'm not mistaken. And so a lot of people are concerned, even though USA were up by 20, because they gave up that lead. They're just like, oh Lord, we are in trouble. That's what they believe. They believe in their head. They're in trouble. Okay. So yeah, they Team USA basketball, but that's why I never give them that title of just world champions. But I'm like, okay, you say you're world champions, but you're the only country in the world that where this is the number one sport. Every other country is either football, cricket, or rugby, where that's their number one sport. And when I say football, I mean soccer, right? It's called soccer here in America, but worldwide, it's called football. So, oh yeah, I saw that. So South Holland mentioned the U17 World Cup squad. I saw that too. So the U17 USA boys, I just saw them. They won the World Cup, and if I'm not mistaken, they were smacking dudes. And they were smacking dudes. So I was looking at that. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'm overreacting. I don't know, but like I said, at that level, look, when we talk about U17, remember in soccer, the best countries that are the countries that are usually the most successful, especially in the past, in like those U17 tournaments, U18, U19 tournaments, when it comes to male soccer, is countries like Mexico, Nigeria, and what else? Um, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's always the countries that are actually underwhelming. Those are the like so like yeah, we were talking about particularly Mexico, and Nigeria. Like they're very successful at like the U17 level when it comes to soccer, when it comes to the U17 World Cups. Uh, let me. I'll give you guys an example. I'll give you guys an example. Let me search up U17 FIFA World Cup history of winners. Or like not just U17, like when it comes to U19. So I want you to see this right here. So when it comes to the FIFA U17 World Cup, this has been held for about 39 years. I guess they're saying on here. Look who's the most successful teams. Who's the most successful? Nigeria. So Germany are the current U17 World Cup champions, but that's their first World Cup at that level. But usually, so I'm not saying that because usually when it comes to like U17, that's different. That's different. So when it comes to basketball, those kids are still developing. In USA, we already have these dudes. They're already like mutants at like middle school. So a lot of them could dominate at the U17 level, at the U16 level, U15 level, right? Same with Nigeria. They have a lot of dudes that will be on the youth teams, and they'll be a little bit more developed than most of the kids that's on the Spain U17 team. Those kids are still growing, and a lot of those kids in the U17 boys, they're basically men physically they're men. So a lot of them they how do I say it? They take advantage of that. You know, when you look at when I like you'll have these dudes, they're already a lot of them are very developed. Or if you look but what people don't understand really when it comes to the let's bring it back to soccer here, right? So you talk about U20 World Cup, U19 World Cup is usually the same thing. You have like really obscure countries that usually win these youth tournaments. But then once it comes to senior level, they're not a lot of the players that you saw that won those youth tournaments, they're not there anymore. And I think USA basketball, youth wise, are going to fall under that because really those players that you see on the youth level from the other countries, they're still developing. They're not done yet. A lot of those players that you saw at the U17 level, that's probably as good as they're going to get. And I'm not hating, but I'm just saying I've seen this in soccer many times. I've seen this in soccer many times. So it's we gotta be careful in terms of using certain youth when we're using the youth national teams as examples. He said like they get more competition overseas from the ages from 17 to 21. Is it like once those kids get older, first when we talking about international basketball competition, those guys from overseas that play on Team Italy, whatever team, they're not done developing. Their bodies are not done developing. But a lot of those kids in America, they're already over, like we already have the case with the foods that we eat, the training regimen that we're on. We already got these kids peaking at 16 and 17 years old. So of course, I actually expect the U16, U17 to do damage to the rest of the quote unquote free world, right? So that's another side of the game that we have to acknowledge. But like I showed you on the soccer side, people be always shocked. I'm like, yeah, Nigeria, they're always good at youth international tournaments. They're always like great, even. They're the most successful in when it comes to U17, U18, U19, but literally always past U20. Then this is where like the success stops. And Mexico's the same way, very great at youth level, but when it comes to their senior team, they've never even went past the round of 16 in any World Cup. I'm talking about in Mexico's World Cup history for their senior national team. They've never made it past the round of 16. And in Mexico, soccer is their number one sport. So you're just like, how is that even possible where it's the number one sport? But apparently, when you see how Mexico runs their soccer program, apparently they run it the same way like America runs it. So that's why they're not that successful. There's a lot of similarities on that end, and it doesn't help where a lot of the Mexican players, they've lost a lot of their good Mexican players to other countries via immigration. So that's a whole nother story as well. Hmm. But yeah, when it comes to when it comes to FIBA, right? The young kids playing basketball and them smacking the kids their age, I wouldn't really hold those results in the air as proof that once the young guns come in, we're gonna take back the reins of control. It's just those kids are way more overdeveloped than the European kids. So it's a physical mismatch off rip. So of course they're going to dominate their competition at youth level when it comes to youth level national tournaments, right? Um, let's go back here. But yeah, man, I'll say I believe Team USA basketball is in trouble, right? This whole and like I said, I believe it starts at youth level because I believe it doesn't help where, particularly when you're talking about AAU, there's no real structure. Uh, Players are not really learning the fundamentals of the game, and you can tell because when these USA basketball stars start facing talent from overseas, they usually get dominated because they know their fundamentals, they know how to do all the simple stuff really well. And USA basketball is just a lot of the times these kids they're just chucking up threes, step back threes, and then dunking. On doing all the analytics stuff. No mid. There's not a whole lot of DeMar DeRozans anymore or a Dwayne Wade when guys like that. Or Kawhi Leonard's right, Kevin Durant's right in terms of mid range game, them being strong in their mid range game in basketball. So it's not even a whole lot of those. So it's a lot of things that we are missing um, when it comes to the American stars, when it comes to the American basketball stars, because on AAU level, they're not being developed right. You got the AAU team stacking the deck, so they'll get all these 5-star recruits on one team, and they just end up smoking the competition. And how I grew up, I remember when I grew up, every single reputable basketball star, they each had their own team. Most of the time, they would not even team up even at the summer camps, they would all have their own teams, and then they would just duke it out. One guy will have his own team, the other guy will bring his team, and then on some iron sharpens iron thing. But now, guys like that they're both 5 stars, they'll end up being friends, and then they'll be like, okay, let's be on the same team, and it's just like, where's the fairness in that? You're just like, where is the fairness in that? So yeah, they got a lot to learn. Oh, let me see. South Holland also said, "Do you think other countries love the game of basketball more like China and Eastern Europe, and that's why they produce really good players?" It's not just only that, but their mission is to show up America. That's their well, let me rephrase that. When America shows up at their door, right? It's not necessarily they aim to show up America, but once America comes knocking on their door, they bring their A game. They're like, we finna show them how we play basketball. Our way of doing things is much better than how you guys are doing it. So that's the thing when you're playing these countries overseas. So not only do they love the game more, I do believe that because we got a whole lot of Ben Simmons ass players. Ben Simmons type attitude like players in the NBA. So yeah, that's also part of the that's definitely part of it. Also, I gotta I don't know if I can do this, but there needs to be I wish there was like a fair use thing that I could do where I can show you the sports video of particularly um these college football enthusiasts, and they made like their top 20 college football player list of all time, and that was very interesting. That was very interesting, man. That was very interesting. I wish I could pull that video up, but I don't even think I can. Let's bring up YouTube. And I even said, like I said, the same thing about the US women's national team. I said their days of them just dominating the other female national teams, those days are over. And I said that even before they lost to Sweden. You can ask AJ. I said, look, it's 50-50. When I saw USA versus Sweden, I was like, this is 50-50, guys. This could go either way. I'm like, this is a little, because I couldn't even make a pick for that match. I was like, USA, they can lose this game. They can easily lose this game because I believe Sweden, they had a couple of players, and on top of that, the height difference, there's not much height difference. Sweden had a lot of tall players themselves, and a lot of the times USA were able to get away with a lot of things in the past because they would play these underdeveloped countries with smaller women. And so that's also a part of that. And then USA women's national teams, in terms of their soccer teams, they were facing like countries where women weren't even allowed to like do stuff. Like they weren't even allowed to play sports. And then US women's national soccer team will brag about them dominating, but they were literally dominating countries where women aren't even allowed to do much on that on the athletic side of things. So that's another part of the game. You know, people just refuse to recognize. That's why I saw that when USA drew with Sweden, I was like, yep, I think they're gonna lose this game. You know what I mean? Now, the irony is, I said if they beat Sweden, they could actually go to the finals because their pathway ended up being like Japan next, and then like I think Spain next or somebody else. And yeah, it was like I forgot what their path, it was like Spain and like somebody else. And I was oh yeah, and Netherlands, like if things went to plan, they would have faced Netherlands in the semifinals, the female team. But that was a setup. That was it. They ended up getting set up. USA ended up getting set up on that end. Okay. Oh, I see a video from Nick Wright and Colin Coward. Let me see if they touch. Let me see if they end up touching Team USA basketball. Let's see their take. Let's see their take. Okay. Let's see if I see anything on the show that I like. Let me see if I see anything on the show that I like. Okay, let's see if they went over head coaches rankings. What else? Brandon Ayuk reportedly requests trade from 49ers. Ooh, that's gonna hurt the 49ers, in my opinion. Brandon Ayuk is underrated. Yeah, Brandon Ayuk is no joke. He's a very good receiver. Also, man, in terms of if there's any NFL fans listening to this, I don't want to hear nobody complaining about Lamar Jackson didn't have the stats to win the MVP. And I'm like, guys, there's only one person to blame. There's only two entities to blame here. The media. I blame the media on that end because they gave Brock Purdy his flowers way too early. They were crowning him way too early. Even though like people don't understand, like he's like on a super stacked team. I'm like, he can't mess this up. He's on a super stacked team. He has stars all over the place. You got a star tight end, star running back, and star wide receivers with Debo Samuel, and you have Brandon Ayuk. and then Debo Samuels being the ultimate just weapon. They'll use him in the backfield. They'll have him in the wideout position. Like they really use him as a weapon. Same thing with Christian McCaffrey. You know, let's see if I can find anything I could use from this segment. Let me see if I can find anything I can use in this. Oh, so they were talking about the Australia versus USA. Let me see how wrong Nick Wright was about certain, because he was saying, "Oh, USA, he's guaranteed them to win the Olympics." I don't think it's a guarantee this year. I just don't think so. First of all, most of the best players on America, they're old. You know, in terms of in athlete terms, they're old. That's going to be most of their last Olympics. You know. Oh, I'm gonna need a nap. That's crazy. Anyway, oh, you know what I should have done? Oh man, I was at McDonald's today, and one of the managers realized that one of the people that was preparing my order messed up the order by giving me a frozen frappe instead of a cappuccino. And I ended up like not touching the frap, and I ended up giving it to somebody else I know. And now I realize I need that frap. I need that frap right now to stay awake. I was like, oh my God. Let's see. Oh, they said apparently Ant and AD led USA in win versus Australia. He said, is this team a lock to win gold? No, it's not. So let's hear Nick Wright's take on that. Let's hear his take. Fair use, by the way. Uh fair use. Fair use, by the way, fair use.
Be made, Colin, that for the 12-man roster, have 8 stars and then 4 glue guys who won't care if they don't play, won't care if. So here is what's tricky. There is
let's hear Colin Cowherd's answer. I mean, Colin Cowherd's question.
Ball beat Australia. I think it's kind of ridiculous that Jaylen Brown's not on the team, but I do think after your top 6 players.
Oh yeah, by the way, yeah, they did Jaylen Brown dirty. He should have been on this team. I don't understand how you have the guy that people are saying that they there's a lot of people that think that Jaylen Brown was the best player on the Celtics team in the finals, and they proved it by him winning the NBA Finals MVP. So you got the guy who's clearly the number 1 or number 2 on the Celtics team, and he doesn't get included in. I think they're holding his comments against him from the past in terms of when he was talking about Nike and all these people. So they're definitely holding that against him, because we already know Nike runs a lot of these teams. You know, a lot of just shoe brands end up running a lot of these teams, and that's how they make their decisions in terms of getting players, playing players. A lot of the times it depends on what brand you're signed with, what agent you're signed with. So a lot of that goes. So Nick Wright is just gonna die on that hill. I guess he's just gonna die on that hill. Oh my God. Like, yeah, I'll say this. America is in trouble. America is in trouble in the Olympics, particularly on their main sports. We're talking about basketball, you know. What else is a sport that's only being played in America? But yeah, particularly when it comes to the ones that we think it's a lock, it's not gonna be a lock. Watch. All the ones that we think it's gonna be a lock, it's not gonna be a lock. That's my prediction. You know, so USA basketball, they need to get their act together ASAP. ASAPidly, right? It's another way to put it. Okay. Also, let me show you guys something real quick. Let me show you guys something. I'm gonna show you one of my older videos when I was talking about sports. Whenever my oldest sports videos, I'm gonna try to look that up real quick. Let's see what I can come up with. Let's see this real quick. Let's see. These are all my old videos. These are one of the new video from 2022. I'm trying to look for anything sports. Anything sports. Oh, this is me talking about Christian Pulisic being overrated.
He's a little bit overrated. Kind of the same opinion I have of Wayne Rooney.
Okay. All right. Let's take a listen to me. All right. This was my opinion on Christian Pulisic from the year 2022, if I'm not mistaken. Right, January 23, 2022. Obviously, I'm not gonna put the full 33 minutes. It's gonna be like the first 5 to 10 minutes. Then I'm gonna move on.
He's a little bit overrated, just a little bit. But with Pulisic, but like I got respect for Rooney and Gerrard in their ways because they're legends. There's no debate about that. But when it comes to the reason why I would say like Wayne Rooney and like Steven Gerrard are a little bit overrated is because I wouldn't consider them like I would not consider them to be like the best at their position in terms of when it comes to the Premier League all-time 11. I have a contention like that's my contention because I believe there are plenty of Premier League forwards I would take all time over those guys or over Wayne Rooney, or there's plenty of Premier League midfielders I would take over Gerrard. You know, like there's like plenty, you know what I'm saying? But they seem to always just get shot up at the top. Like they're like automatics, and I'm like, you know, that's all. But back to Pulisic. Yeah, Pulisic is overrated. But let's see here how the American media are trying to protect him again for no reason. That's one thing about the American media. They love you. They fall if you have a PR, you need if you're going to be in a public eye, you need a strong PR team that's going to make you so lovable. You know what I'm saying? Everything they make sure, you know, everything goes and they make sure they're well shaven. You know, you're never going to see Pulisic with a beard anytime soon. That's on purpose. You know what I'm saying? When they do stuff like that, like they make sure his face is perfect. They make sure he says all the right things, make sure he's as American as possible. They always tell him, make sure you have the American flag on the get-go, like you Captain America. This is all planned. You know what I'm saying? So this isn't hold on for a second. I think I messed up something. This isn't sorry about that, guys. Like this this is all planned. You know what I'm saying? But Raheem Sterling apparently is on Chelsea's radar, and this guy is going to go to great lengths, and he's worried about Christian Pulisic's job. And I'm just like, if you're really that dude, it really should not be a problem. But let's hear this video anyways.
Christian Pulisic, you know the news. Raheem Sterling was with Christian Pulisic. You know the news. Raheem Sterling was linked to Chelsea over the weekend. U.S. fans saw that and thought, okay, this is bad news on multiple fronts. One, in the short term, it's not going to be good for his playing time, and I don't think it bodes well maybe long term for Christian Pulisic either. Are U.S. fans wrong for thinking that? I mean, it's bad news for Pulisic here, isn't it?
Well, we were talking about. Bruh. This in the ESPN FC show at length for the last couple of days, primarily because there's not a lot else going on at the moment. And it is quite a big story because Raheem Sterling has been front and foremost for Man City in England in recent years. He played, I think, 47 times last year with 17 goals, 8 assists, but not all starts. I think 32 starts. And there's some sort of frustration within him that with the arrival of new players, that might be reduced even more now.
Like when the reports that came out, first of all, I didn't even see a whole lot of people talking about Pulisic only until ESPN FC brought it up. They're clearly Pulisic. They're trying, like the American media are just trying to, because I even really see a whole lot of Chelsea fans talking about Pulisic or worrying about Pulisic because look, Pulisic is replaceable, bro. I've been trying to tell you guys.
Why are you?
Like I've been trying to tell you guys this for, like, I don't know how long. Pulisic is a very replaceable player, bro. Let's continue.
I hear you. Why are we talking about Raheem Sterling? Let's get to Pulisic. But it's all part of the story, and I think he wants to sort of move on. But why all this negativity? I thought the American sports fan was supposed to be full of positivity and, you know, looking forward.
No, and just a PSA to like the people that are listening overseas. The American media might be the biggest especially the American sports media might be the biggest hypocrites in the world. They act like it's all about meritocracy. It's not. In America, there's really no such thing as meritocracy. Like I'm just saying there's no such thing as meritocracy. It's so much hypocrisy. Basically, if you are trying to make it as an athlete, who you have on your PR team is going to be more valuable than what work you put in on the court.
What?
Literally, it's literally about making sure.
But yeah, these are all of my, you know, if you guys get the time, watch a lot of my old videos where I was particularly any of the sports videos. Like this sports video was from what, June 23rd, 2022. Oh, 2 years ago. Exactly. You know, those videos, I really like those. Oh man. But anyways, let's see if I missed anything. So South. Oh, okay. Oh, you know what? Since South, are you more of a soccer guy, South Holland? Uh, I don't know. I don't know if you can reply back, but tell me if you're more of a soccer guy. I might just switch gears real quick. I might just switch gears real quick on that end because that's my main sport. Well, you know, we call it soccer in America, but we know it's football worldwide. It's just I have an American audience, you know. The Swish, what's up, man? What's up? But South Holland, let me know if you're more of a if that yeah. So let me so let's switch gears then. I'm about to go in right now. I'm about to go in. So particularly let me see which video was the one that I just showed you guys. When I was I was talking about Pulisic. I'll say this about Pulisic. He had a good season with Milan. Um, he had a good season. Um, here's the thing. Here's the thing, particularly when you're talking about the U.S. men's national team. They, this okay. People might not agree with me with this, but I think this might be the most overrated group of American talent like ever. You know, it's not that I look at Pulisic the same way I look at even the American stars of the past, but at least with the American stars of the past, nobody really thought of them as world class. You know what I mean? We were just trying our best. You know what I mean? We did what we could with what we had. So I had more respect for the teams of the past. And if you actually look at the 2006 USA World Cup squad, right? Let me see the 2006 USA World Cup squad. All of those players were playing in damn near all of those players outside of Landon Donovan, if I'm not mistaken. Damn near all of those players, they were playing in Europe. They were on a 2006 USA World Cup roster. Let me see if I can bring that up. Right here. This was the 2006 World Cup squad of the U.S. men's national team. I remember this squad, man. There were a lot of players that were playing in Europe, and even though you know, let me see. Yeah, DeMarcus Beasley was playing with PSV. Now, a lot of them they weren't playing with like big squads. You know what I mean? Um, and I think Dempsey, if I'm not mistaken, Dempsey joined Fulham. What year did Dempsey join Fulham? Yeah, so Dempsey was still in the MLS at the time, but then he ended up joining Fulham the next year. If I'm not mistaken, he ended up joining them in 2007. And Landon Donovan had his stints in Europe, and you did have Tim Howard playing for Man U at the time. So that, you know, so like we did with what we could with what we had. But when I look at the current talent of the US national team, I don't really see the big difference between our squad now and our squad then. I don't see the difference. I really don't see the difference. Let's look up our current first of all, let me keep this page open because I have so much to say, particularly when it comes to the USA national team, the men's national team. I'll say this, I have way too much to say when it comes to when it comes to that. Let me look up what's it the current US men's national team roster, right? So, I don't really, obviously we're a little better, but not that much better. That's my opinion. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think we're that much better. I really don't look at us as that much better. First of all, my opinion on Matt Turner, the problem with America is if you look at the school that Matt Turner went to, if you look at the advertising people, there were people behind the scenes that were really pushing Matt Turner to be the number one. I don't understand, because I forgot the name of the other keeper that America had. He was doing relatively well, and he was on I forgot, wasn't he playing for Man City or something, if I'm not mistaken? And then he went out on loan. Zach Steffen, or I forgot what team he was playing for. You see, Zach yeah, I was blank. I'm like, yeah, because he was playing on Man City. He was obviously the backup, and then something happened to him in like his personal life where it was literally right in the heat of the competition between Zach Steffen and Matt Turner. And then something happened to him where he just couldn't. Something happened in his personal life where he just couldn't be the number one keeper for America anymore. I was like, that's kind of weird. Well, it looks like Matt Turner basically has the number one spot, but I never really saw him as better than Zach Steffen. You know, that was just that was just my opinion, and I still cling to that. But then but literally after that, he was just like never on the American national team anymore. And I don't know why that they because unfortunately on America, they still try to run American sports tactics with soccer, and that doesn't work. Because I guess they don't want to have a controversy of who should be the real number one keeper, and we just got to give Matt Turner the spot like he's like an American NFL quarterback. But really, you're supposed to bring your best players there. You're supposed to bring all your best players. So excluding Zach Steffen out of the frame due to political reasons, because you want to give Matt Turner the spot because certain powers that be want to push him to the spot. I don't, like I was like, don't you look at Brazil? They brought they or look at all the national teams. They bring their best goalkeepers. No matter they don't care about a goalkeeping controversy. They bring their best goalkeepers. They bring their best three keepers. They let the best three duke it out in training camp, and then we see who's number one. That's how it usually works. But the way that they were trying to run it in America, they were just so, because they wanted to use Matt Turner, particularly when it comes to the billboards, the advertising. They wanted to put him as the guy. They didn't want a quote unquote goalkeeping controversy, so they just basically exited Zach Steffen out of the frame. And like now, I've never seen him suit up for United States ever since. You got like these randoms at that spot, maybe not necessarily Horvath being so random, but Sean Johnson. You're just like, yeah, I already see what's going on. They just don't want no quote unquote controversy, because there's really no gap between Matt Turner and Zach Steffen. We all know this. This is why I believe he was excommunicated. Oh man. But the problem is, like, okay, when you bring up Rafael Leao, there's a clear talent gap between Rafael Leao and Pulisic. And it's pretty obvious when they play, you know. when they play together, it's pretty obvious. It's like Rafael Leao, he's just his talent is just it's he has Rafael Leao is what you call a natural talent. This guy's 6'2", 6'3", can run like a gazelle, can get past anybody. I always said if like particularly when it came to Rafael Leao and Vinicius Jr. This is before because I remember back in the day when people were saying Rafael Leao and Vinicius, they have no end product. But I remember always saying, like, if they can just increase their production of their end product, whether it be assisting or goal scoring, but even just assisting, if they can just up that by 10 to 15%, they could literally be the best players in the world. Just if they up that goal and assist production to 10 to 15%, because they have all the natural ability to get to that final third. That their natural ability, their speed, it's they can get by anybody. So it's just a matter of what they're going to do on the final third. So I always said if they were able to increase that by like 10 to 15%, they can be the best players in the world, and that's where we are right now. So so Rafael Leao, I'm a huge fan of Rafael Leao. So yeah, that and he I believe he put on a decent showing in the Euros. He could have done a little bit better. I'm not gonna lie, he could have done a little bit better, but he's a guy like, he's not like a 90-minute type player as well. So, it is what it is on that end. South Holland says, I didn't feel United States were overrated before the Copa America, but I'm starting to feel different now. They are overrated. Like I've been saying this for about 2 years now, because this is where I was getting at with the U.S. men's national team. This is where I was getting at. They were calling, do you know, people were calling this U.S. national team like the golden generation. Do you know that? They were calling this the U.S. this men's national team. They were calling it the golden generation. Hold on, let me turn off the lights. Sorry, I had to turn off my own lights real quick. But they were calling the U.S. men's national soccer team the golden generation, and I was like, what? Are you kidding me? Like, they were having these articles. America, I'm like, America's golden generation, because and like I said, they have it on Wikipedia. So because they have Pulisic, Reina, McKennie, Balogun, who they stole from another country, and Serginho Dest. So with these players that they highlighted, including Pulisic, they think that qualifies as a squad that's a golden generation. I'm like, golden generation? I'm like, I said, first of all, when I heard it, I was like, God, these are the same people that will say Belgium's overrated. And they believe that when Belgium had their golden generation, right? They believe they didn't qualify to be as a golden generation. And I'm like, well, you got to understand, Belgium at one point, Belgium had De Bruyne, Hazard, Lukaku when he was in form, Axel Witsel, Courtois, Company at one point. I mean, bruh. But even though he was struggling with injuries at the end of his career. But, oh yeah, Thomas Munir at right back. They had a squad. Raja. What? Belgium had Dries Mertens. They had a squad. They had a legit squad. We're just like, you know what? This could be the this is a golden generation. They had the talent to really say, to think, you know what? We have literally two of the best players in Premier League history with Hazard and De Bruyne. If you have a squad with De Bruyne and Hazard in it, you could look at yourself and be like, you know what? We might be the golden generation. You could look at yourself, and then look, in 2018, Belgium finished third place in the World Cup, and that's probably that was the best that they could do. But unfortunately, Belgium was never going to beat France in 2018. That was just never going to happen. France was too fucking stacked. They were just too loaded. And Mbappe was playing on that right wing. He couldn't be stopped. He couldn't be stopped. He just couldn't be stopped. So that is what Belgium ran into, and they finished third place in that. And people call them a failure. So I was like, okay, so if Belgium doesn't even qualify for being a quote unquote golden generation, what gives American soccer players the right to call a squad with Pulisic, who barely starts for Milan, who was barely starting for Chelsea, and you're saying he's supposed to be the leader of a golden generation? Are you kidding me? That's it. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's crazy. That's crazy. Oh yeah, I was mentioning, yeah, Stefan, he was at City, then he got loaned. Yeah, he got loaned out to like Middlesbrough. But like, yeah, he was never gonna get more playing time than Ederson. Let me see, Adama Traore a few years ago, but Traore just couldn't. Who was compared to Adama Traore? Oh, you don't tell me it was Rafael Leao. Let me see. Carlos X says, how many goals to be described as couldn't be stopped? Oh, it's not necessarily just goals with Mbappe. Mbappe, what happened with Mbappe won the Young Player of the World Cup in 2018. He was in the run. He won the best young player of the tournament in the 2018 World Cup, and on top of that, he was in the running for best player of the 2018 World Cup. But that went to someone else, if I'm not mistaken, obviously. But he was in the running for both awards. But he obviously was a shoo-in for the Young Player Award, being 19, or I think he was 20 years old or 19 years old, and he was unstoppable. He was every game that Mbappe played, he was the fastest player on the pitch. No, it was not even a contest. So like at first, what France did in the first game, they had Mbappe playing up top by himself with Dembele on one wing, and I forgot who else on the other wing. It was probably Coleman. That didn't work the first game. So what they did, they made a switch. They put Olivier Giroud, I think the second game, or I think the second half of the first game. They took Dembele off. They put Mbappe on the right wing, and it was a wrap. It was a wrap. And then they put Griezmann right behind Giroud as the second striker, and Griezmann was basically so that's what happened. It was like they had Mbappe, Griezmann, and Dembele up top, like as a front three, and it didn't work. And then they made a switch to they changed Didier Deschamps, the manager. He changed the formation. He put Olivier Giroud up top with Griezmann playing right behind him, and then they put Mbappe on the right wing, and it was a wrap. It was a wrap. Like, just look up Mbappe highlights 2018 World Cup. I'm not gonna play it. I'm just gonna show you the let me just show you. let me just show you. Let me show you something real quick. Let's type this in. 2018 World Cup Mbappe just speed. That's it. That's it. That's it. I don't think I can show you the actual video for copyright reasons, but Mbappe, like, he was just too fast. He just, every time he stepped on the field, his speed is just ridiculous. Like, he's Mbappe's one of the fastest players I've ever seen outside of Aaron Lennon. You could say Theo Walcott, but the thing is, Mbappe is way more clinical, like way more clinical. First of all, way better than Walcott ever was. But I'm just saying, just speed with the ball is crazy. His top speed with the ball is crazy. Mbappe, him, Aaron Lennon. one of the fastest people I've seen with the ball. Like it's just it's like their speed is crazy. Oh, I'll say this. There was another player that was very fast that doesn't get the credit that he deserves. Hey, Jesus Navas, when he was like I'll say before he like I'll say like his first year at Man City, and then when he was at Sevilla, when he was younger, when we were talking about like when he was like 26, 27 years old, 25 years old, he was one of the fastest players I've ever seen as well. Him, yeah, those are like some of the fastest players, but with Mbappe, his speed is scary. It's only like Thierry Henry that had like speed like that. Like, oh, there's only a few like footballers in history that just had speed like that with the ball, where they could just push the ball past you and it's over. It's just like they just push the ball past you and that's it. And they're clinical. Yeah. But yeah, like if you just check out any of Mbappe's, just type in Mbappe speed. That's it. That's all you need to see, and you're just literally gonna see a guy. It's like it's unstoppable. South Holland said Giroud barely being able to go 45 minutes definitely stopped France from going further in the Euros. And yeah, because they didn't really have. I expected Kolo Muani to be better, but it just didn't work out. First of all, I expected Thuram to be way better, and he didn't cut it in this tournament. He was I don't understand how somebody can be that physically gifted, Thuram, and struggle the way he did in this tournament. I just don't get it. He's 6'4", he has speed. I don't get it. Like Thuram really he shocked me with how ineffective he was. Physically, he didn't dominate. He couldn't run past anybody. I'm like, what, was he injured? I didn't get it, you know. He said, Carlos X said, I'm going to look at 2018 for Kylian. My nephews who love soccer will be impressed. Yeah, like Mbappe's his speed is no joke. Like it's only like you know what's crazy though with Mbappe, he actually reminds me more of pre-injury, not just Thierry Henry. I think Thierry Henry is the easy comparison, but really my comparison for Mbappe is pre-knee injury Ronaldo Nazario, the Brazilian Ronaldo. If you look at the old clips of Ronaldo before his knee injuries, he was the fastest person because not only was he fast, he was super fast with the ball. So when Mbappe dribbles, it's like everything is lightning quick. It's so quick. You don't like he'll do a step over you and you don't even see it do the step over. You know, that's who really Mbappe reminds me of. He reminds me of pre-knee injury Ronaldo Nazario in terms of just how fast he was with the ball. Yeah, Kolo Muani was very disappointing. Like I expected much more. But Barcola, I'll say this: so South Holland said Thuram and Kolo were very disappointing, but the Barcola kid was lights out. I'm surprised he didn't see the pitch more. Yes, he should have gotten more playing time. And first of all, I was shocked that I was really shocked he didn't get more playing time because Barcola has been really good for PSG this year. I've been watching him a lot this year, and him and Mbappe were playing really well together. And I thought he was going to play more, but you know, they I guess they just expected Thuram and Kolo Muani to play better because Kolo Muani also had a decent season. At PSG, yeah, he had a decent, season. He was kind of in and out of the starting lineup, but he had a decent season with PSG. But I expected more from Thuram. I really expected more from Thuram. And I'll say this: if Giroud was 4 years younger, they would have probably made it further. Because, yeah, they don't like right now. And France don't really have any pure strikers outside of Muani. Outside of Muani, they don't really have a lot of pure strikers that they can call upon. And yes, Mbappe can play the striker role, but he plays better off when he's playing off the left-hand side, you know. But anyway, enough about Mbappe. But you know, but like if you look at the 2018, when we talking about the golden generation, right? Let's look up 2018 Belgium World Cup squad, right? And I know Company wasn't in this squad because of injury, but he was supposed to be there. Let me see the 2018 World Cup squad. You had Courtois. Company ended up getting injured, so he couldn't play. Yeah, you had Toby Alderweireld, Vertonghen in the back. Yeah, you had De Bruyne, Axel Witsel. Man, yeah, Dries Mertens, Hazard in his prime. Well, at the end of his prime. We just didn't know it was the end of his prime. You had Den Dunker. You had Fellaini on the team. Lukaku. Who else? Oh yeah, man. Moussa Dembele. That was another underrated player. Moussa Dembele is very underrated. But like, man, that's just that was a great squad, and people are saying that squad was overrated. But I'm like, they finished third place in the 2018 World Cup, and you guys are saying they're not the golden generation. But you're telling me our U.S. men's national team, the way it's currently constructed, do we have any players that's even close to Hazard or De Bruyne's level? That's like that should be the standard. Do you even have anybody on that team that's even close to Hazard and or De Bruyne, or even do we even have anybody on this team that's even better than Thorgan Hazard, Eden Hazard's brother? I mean, what the fuck? And they're calling this team Thorgan Hazard would be the best player on the. If Thorgan Hazard was American, he'd be the best. He'd be the best player on this team. But we're calling this American team the we somehow are finding a way to call this team the golden generation. That's insane to me, you know. That's insane. Josh Sargent, like our best forwards aren't even like our best forward is somebody that's not even, he's not like, they had to steal this guy from another country. What's his name? Folarin Balogun, right? Musa, we had to steal this guy from another country, allegedly. You know, I like McKennie, but you know, I like McKennie, but like I said, we don't have anybody that's even close to the players that Belgium had. Like, we don't even have anybody close to that. And they call Belgium overrated. So what does that make us? Where we can't even cut it at Copa America. Like, we don't even, like, we don't, the quality, like, we're just so outclassed in Copa America. We're just, it's not even close. Now, I say this. I know how to fix the U.S. men's national team. I know how to fix it. Trust me, I know how to fix it. And it's not with getting a different manager. It's that's normie shit. What's up with Young Doka? What's up, bro? You see, Embiid seems like a theft too, just because. Oh yeah, with the U.S. men's basketball team, USA should be ashamed, and Embiid should be ashamed for having Embiid on that USA basketball team. That's a shame. That is a damn shame. Oh, I do like the left back Robinson. He's good. He's good. I like him. Yeah. Oh yeah, Carlos X. I knew you were talking about Embiid for ball. I know, like that. That's just embarrassing. He's not American at all. But anyway, no disrespect to Embiid, but it's just, it looks crazy. Him being on the USA basketball team, that looks crazy. But anyways, I know how to fix the U.S. men's national team, but I know how to fix. I know how to do it. What we need to do is not about is because the coaches that we have, they're all trash. So it's not necessarily about a matter of a coach, you know. What we need to do to fix it, it starts at grassroots level. It all starts at grassroots level. Everywhere we go, it's a basketball court. There should be unlimited access to fields, soccer fields. We need to have more cages, meaning football cages, meaning street football cages, like they have in Europe, where you can just go anywhere. You can play futsal. You can play on the streets. There's a football court, right? They'll like in Europe, they'll have the court will be, it's a futsal court and a basketball court at the same time. We need to have more of those. We could easily do that. We could easily do that. Number 2, we need to stop importing. I don't think importing Mexicans to be on our team is the solution. That's not the solution. And it's no disrespect to the Mexicans, but they're no better than the American team as well. Like I'll be seeing the Americans or I'll be seeing like the Mexicans, like, you know, talk about how they're better than the Americans. And I'll just be like, you guys are no better either. Because at least with America, our excuse is, oh, this is not our number one sport. Like in Mexico, soccer is their number one sport, and they've never even made it past the round of 16 ever in any World Cup. At least I think in the 1930s, USA finished in 3rd place, if I'm not mistaken. And the furthest that Mexico has ever gone is not even past the round of 16. So, and soccer is their number one sport. So I don't even want to hear it from them. So Mexicans are really not that good at soccer anyways. That's my opinion. And I don't think importing them to be, with the dual the dual natties, right? The Mexicans with the dual national citizenships, that's not working. So we got to cut that out. We have plenty of athletes from all different backgrounds that we can make them be our players. We have plenty of players. Now, number 3, there's no promotion, there's no relegation. There's no promotion or relegation in MLS, right? The MLS, the USPL, all of that, they need to merge together. So we need to have all types of tiers of football/soccer, right? So instead of just professional and then semi-pro, no, we need to have tiers so we can have promotion and relegation. Because right now there's no incentives for people to start football clubs. There's no incentives for people to start a club out of scratch. There's no incentives for millionaires to start a soccer club because they can't enter the MLS because they already have their teams. There's no promotion. There's no relegation. So the MLS and the USPL, they need to merge together so people will start their own academy, so people can start their own clubs. So there's more incentives for people to start their own academies and clubs so they can, in hopes, in one day when they're putting their investment money in these clubs, they can hope that at least 20 years in the future, okay, we're in the 15th tier, right? In pro level soccer right now. Okay, we're in the 15th tier. Hopefully in 30 years, when I'm age 60, we can make it to the big time. And that's how it usually works. That's how it usually works. You start off small and you work your way up. We don't have that in America. We just have, these are the teams. So the teams at the bottoms have no incentive to get better. Get rid of the fucking draft, whatever that shit is that we do in the MLS. Get rid of that. That doesn't work. So you have your academy. So the academy players. So once you start your own academies and you start your own club, you can promote your youth players that you're developing. They can end up going pro at 15 years old, 16 years old, 17 years old. You know what I mean? They can. So like there's no college soccer, none of that nonsense. If they want to have college soccer, they want to keep that, fine. But if you're in an academy, you can just be in the academy and then be able to go pro as soon as possible. If they don't want to sign you, if they don't want to, if the team that you're playing for in youth academy doesn't want to sign you and go pro, you can negotiate with other clubs, and then boom, that's how it should be working. But like I said, you see the way that I described it. Do you know how many do you know? And then on top of that, every academy needs to be free, meaning if you make the team, it's free of cost. So that eliminates pay for play system that we have in American soccer. So my solution, it would work. Like trust, like it would it would work. The cream of the crop would rise to the top. We have all these players from all different backgrounds playing with each other. Iron sharpens iron. We'll be able to produce the best players. But the problem is with my solution, do you know how many people would lose money? Do you know how many players you know how many like officials and people that are making money off this pay for play system? Do you know how many of them would lose money? Do you know how much money, ODP and these US development quote unquote academies, do you know how much money IMG Academy would lose and all that stuff? Like if we implemented that, like they're not gonna ever implement that. Because a lot of people would lose money. A lot of people lose money. This is why, like, I always say, if I accidentally had a kid, right? If I had a kid and he or she, well, I'll say, if I had a son and he said, "Look, I want to play soccer, Dad," I would literally say, "Okay, where do you want to go? Do you want to play in, do you want me to move to France? Do you want me to move to Netherlands? Do you want me to move to Germany? Do you want me to move to Spain? Do you want me to move to Portugal? Do you want me to move to Italy? Or do you want me to move to Brazil?" I would literally give him these options. Do you want me to I would give him those options. Or do you want me to move to Argentina? But I'll say forget Argentina. I'll say Brazil. I'd say let's move to Brazil. Let's move to Netherlands, or let's not England, no England. I would say let's move to France or Brazil, Spain, or Portugal or Netherlands. That's what I would do, because I would not want him to, because in America is the hardest country for a soccer player to go pro in. Even though we're one of the worst we're one of the worst soccer professional leagues in the world, but it's the hardest place to go pro in. I don't want to, like, do you know how disappointing that is? Do you know how many D3 schools that I've seen, and I've seen some of the players that they have, and I'll be like, wow, these guys are amazing, but they're never going to go D1 because either of grades or because they're not a certain height. Like unfortunately in D1, they just go by your appearance and how tall you are. That's how they recruit for D1. So it's almost impossible. And the only time they'll overlook that is, and then on top of that, with the D1 programs, all they do is they just end up recruiting they end up just recruiting players from other countries, basically the rejects from other countries, and then they come through and then they play on D1, and then they quote unquote play good, but they're just they're just taking up space. Oh man. So South Holland said, my physical therapist pays $5,000 just for both her kids to play. One of her kids was offered to go to MLS Academy, but they have to move to one club because they force you to go pipeline from the state. And at least with the MLS academies, at least with that, if you make the MLS academies, you don't have to pay for anything, which is good. But it's like all the MLS academies don't make up the majority of the academies in the academy, systems, right? In the academy, leagues. So when the different academies play each other, most of those academies are not MLS academies. So if it's not an MLS academy, you end up paying an arm and a leg just for your kid to be at the academy. Like it's so the system is so messed up like that. So it's like I said, MLS is the hardest. American pro soccer is the hardest place to go pro in, even though we're literally the worst in the league, worst, one of the worst leagues in the world. So that's the travesty behind that. That is the travesty behind that. And like I said, if a woman comes in at the national team position and she starts making changes and starts doing different things, I don't want to hear people complaining. I don't want to hear people complaining because people don't really want to make any real changes with this system. So I don't even care anymore what even happens to the US national soccer team by them, because it's going to be a woman coming in, and they're going to start coaching, and they're probably going to start coaching some men's teams, whatever, and or becoming presidents of certain things. And I don't want to hear no complaints because it seems like the people in charge, they don't want to make any real changes. So it is what it is. It is what it is. But yeah, like I said, if they don't, if it's for them, for the sports programs to not even have promotion or relegation, and that whole system where the worst team gets the number one draft pick. What kind of shit is that? So you're basically incentive where now if you're not the top 3 or 4 squads, then people are not even trying. Everybody else is just trying to tank for better talent. Like that's not a system. That's not, I mean that's not a system where how can you develop? Like, say if you're in a smaller team, right? Even if you know your team is not going to win, but you're playing in a team that's actively trying to lose because they know they have no chance to be a top 3 or top 4 team. And they know if they're just in the middle of the pack, they're going to get zero talent because of their draft position. That's how can you develop as a young player if you're playing like that? How do you develop? So you got to get rid of that. You got to get rid of the draft, get rid of and implement promotion and relegation, and have it where you can start an academy and have that academy turn into a pro club. And I don't care if it's like if the pro club is made up of dudes off the street. I don't even care. It needs to be started from somewhere. Somebody's got to start it. Somebody's got to make that sacrifice. And we could easily do this, but like I said, there's a lot of people that's going to be missing money if we do it like that. It's a lot of people that's going to be missing money. Oh man. Yep, exactly. She said, I said, you can't go to any MLS team. And she said, nope, you can only go to the MLS team associated with your state. Yes. Yep. So yeah, that's the kicker. That's the kicker. Now imagine, especially I live in Connecticut, there are some academies, but do you know how expensive they are? Is ridiculous. So even if you're from Connecticut, like you can try out, you can have a trial with the New York Red Bulls or New York City FC, but you have to end up like literally staying there. You have to move there. So it's like the system is it's like once I started understanding how the system worked, especially when I was growing up playing, like I grew very discouraged, especially where I would literally meet some really good talented players from all different backgrounds too, all different backgrounds. Some from, if they're from another country, some from here, some with immigrant backgrounds, some with all types of different backgrounds, and they were great, almost great talent, but they were never going to go pro. He said her other son got invited to a second tier team in Holland, and they paid for everything, even the family, to travel there. Exactly. So I hope she took the Holland offer, even if it doesn't work in Netherlands. But at least when you look at Netherlands, when you look at the players that they produce up top, when you see the teams, when you see how good the youth development is with the academies in Netherlands, right? You can at least breathe a sigh of relief, even if you don't make it. Where you could be like, you know what, this is the best talent out here. This is this is the best time. I'm with the best. With America, it's literally the opposite. it's literally the opposite. It's literally the opposite. you just feel like you're just like, this is all political. Young Doka said, I'm an hour behind, but countries like Nigeria, if their men don't make it to the Olympics, the women end up doing it. Like, well, like Nigeria, they're usually good at youth level, particularly the men. I'm not sure how their women do at youth level, so I'm behind on that end. But Nigerians in sports in general, or really Africans in sports in general, they tend to do decent on the youth level. But a lot of them peak too early. Either they get stolen and they end up playing for England, right, or other countries, or they just end up peaking too early, you know. But yeah, like I hope the other son for South, what's his name? I hope they took the second tier. First of all, to be in a second tier division in Netherlands, that's great. That's great. That's amazing. That's amazing. So I hope they didn't hear like second tier and thought, oh, I can't. Nah, because there's talent in the second tier division in Holland that are like that would literally, if those same talents were to go to the MLS academies, they would literally walk on the team. So that's like, yeah, I would take, yeah, you did take the offer in Holland with those players. You can definitely learn a lot. Even if it doesn't work out, you can take that, put that on your resume, and then you can go to have trials with different teams in Europe or even in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, we're literally paying people $200,000 a year just to be in their third tier division. So yeah, so you can use that, and you can use that to your advantage. But anyway, let's go to this site right here. Enough about soccer. Enough about, but I can go on and on about that on that end. So they had a top 100 list that ESPN is basically soft launching. So ESPN is dropping the top 100 athletes of the 21st century, right? So they dropped the first 50, right? So I'm going to start off with 100. So they're doing let me see. So they're ranking the top 100 professional athletes since the year 2000. Since the year 2000, right? So let's start off with 100. And no disrespect to anybody, but I'm going to not include the women here because it's like I said, male sports and female sports is just different. It's just different. So I'm not going to include I'm going to skip over the women in this list. That's just ESPN doing ESPN things, thinking that men and women are equal, and they're not. So you have Charles Woodson in there. He probably, he might be a little bit too low for me. Ed Reed, football at 99. Connor McDavid, I'm not sure about hockey. I'm very ignorant when it comes to hockey. I'm ignorant when it comes to cricket, but cricket is also a very popular sport. It's the most popular sport in the world. Darrell Revis is on the list at 96. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, he probably should be higher. Ronaldinho's on this list, should be higher. Rory McIlroy on the golf side of things. Pedro Martinez is on the list. Aaron Rodgers is on the list at 91. Like I said, I'm gonna skip over all the women because it's a different sport. It's a different sport. Roy Halladay, baseball players, yeah, they have. So Ronaldo Nazario, he's way too low. They have him at like 87, and then they got like Venus Williams right over him. And they got like these random like female like athletes over like legendary male players, and you're just like, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Ronaldo Nazario is one of the most iconic. His name is just very iconic. Bernard Hopkins is probably too low. So yeah, they did drop this list. I'm just gonna see, I'm going to once Mbappe's on this list, okay. Once they drop the official, once they drop the top 10 list of the top 10 athletes of all time, that's when I'm actually gonna do a whole debate and be like, okay, are these the top 10 athletes? Because they're taking all the sports worldwide. They're doing all the sports worldwide, meaning they're taking into account every sport worldwide with this. Okay. Let me see. Andre Beltran, Steve Nash is on this. What the? How the hell how did he get to 51? There's homie, I don't want to. Oh my God. How is Steve Nash on this list in terms of top 100 athletes? They said like athletes in the world, mind you, in the world. How is Steve Nash there? How is that possible? My God. And they have him right next. Who they have him right next to? So Steve Nash tops that list of the bottom 50 for the bottom 50. So they have Steve Nash over Derek Jeter, guys. This is wild. This is insane. They got Steve Nash over Derek Jeter. They got Steve Nash over Alex Ovechkin. Now, I don't know much about hockey, but this is like a very well-revered NHL player. They have Steve Nash over Modric. They have Steve Nash over Calvin Johnson. They got Steve Nash over JJ Watt. They have Steve Nash over Mariano Rivera. Now, Mariano Rivera, he's well known as like one of the best pitchers of all time. I think he was one of the few unanimous Hall of Fame. When they voted for the Hall of Fame, he was a unanimous decision. One of the best, probably the best closing pitcher of all time. That's crazy. They have Steve Nash over Mariano Rivera. They have Steve Nash over Ray Lewis. They got Steve Nash over Shohei Ohtani. That's crazy. They got Steve Nash over Mbappe. They got Steve Nash over John Jones, who's probably the best MMA fighter, really technically of all time, just off of his talent. They have Steve Nash over James Harden, and James Harden is literally better than Steve Nash. James Harden is literally better than Steve Nash. I think James Harden has more MVPs, if I'm not mistaken, as well. They think they got Steve Nash over Jason Kidd, and nobody in their right mind would select Jason Kidd would select Steve Nash over Jason Kidd as their starting point guard, both at their best, both in their prime. Nobody would. They got Steve Nash over Pacquiao. They got Steve Nash over Shaun White. Now, like I said, I'm not well versed in the snowboarding arena, the skateboarding arena, but Shaun White is like he got mad medals. Like Olympic gold medalist. Like he's in an individual sport where he has dominated for years. Wow. They got Steve Nash over Xavi. They got Steve Nash over who else? Bernard Hopkins. They got Steve Nash over Bryce Harper. They got Steve Nash over Andy Murray. That's just crazy. They got Steve Nash over Chris Paul, even though Chris Paul is better than Steve Nash. They got Steve Nash over Kawhi Leonard. This is first. There cannot be a list where you got somebody like a Steve Nash. I don't care what sport. Ronaldo Nazario needs to be like considered at least top 20 best athletes of all time. At least top 20. That's one of the best soccer players I've ever seen in my life. What the fuck? What are we doing? They got Steve. These are the players that they got Steve Nash over Aaron Rodgers, Pedro Martinez. Every player that I just listed, they're in their respective sports, they were way dominant. Like Ronaldinho, when Ronaldinho was at his best, they were saying Ronaldinho was the best player ever. But he's at 94. But Steve Nash is at 51. What? How? How is that? He's won. I'm talking about Ronaldinho has won awards where he was considered not only the best soccer player in the world, they considered him the best player ever when he was in his prime. But they put him at 94 and you got Steve Nash at 51. That is crazy. That's wild. That's wild. But yeah, ESPN is you know what, Carlos X, you're right. ESPN they're trolling Shaq. I think they're trolling Shaq, but they probably have Shaq a little bit higher because it's the bottom 50. It's the bottom 50. It's the bottom 50. Yeah, so that's what I heard about Alexander Ovechkin. I don't know how to say his name, but I keep hearing his name at like they keep saying, "Oh, he's one of the best hockey players of all time." Like I kept hearing top 5 of all time, top 10 of all time. That's what I was hearing, and people would mention his name with Gretzky and these people. You're like, "Oh, that means he must be pretty good." You know, that's like my normie mind thinking. So how is he underneath a Steve Nash? A guy went like Steve Nash has he ever been even close to be considered the best player in the league? Like when Steve Nash was in his prime, he wasn't even close to a Kobe Bryant, a LeBron James, a Tim Duncan, Shaq. That's crazy to me. There's no disrespect to Steve Nash, but that's just crazy. Carlos X said, I think Steve Nash would even put Kid above him. He would. First of all, Steve Nash is a big soccer fan as well. I'm pretty sure he's laughing seeing him being way over like guys like Ronaldinho and Ronaldo Nazario. I'm pretty sure like he's like, wow, I can't believe this. Let me see, man. Southland says Steve Nash hasn't won any championships. Like, yeah, he's won 0 championships. Now I'm talking about. I think the furthest he's been is a conference finals. The furthest he's ever been was a conference finals. I don't know how he's making these lists. Where I'm talking about the players that he's over. I'm talking about the players that the soccer players that I was listing. These guys were the best players in the world. Literally, like Ronaldo was the best player in the world. Ronaldinho was the best player in the world in his prime. What other soccer player did I say? Zlatan, the best striker in the world. Almost. I'll definitely say top 5 striker in the world when he was at his best, right? Like he's over Ballon d'Or. I was about to say they got Steve Nash over Ballon d'Or winners. So these are players that get that. So the Ballon d'Or is the award that you give to the best soccer player in the world. And you have Steve Nash over these. This is crazy. How about this? Let's put this to American football. Aaron Rodgers. How is he over Aaron? Aaron Rodgers has like 4. Aaron Rodgers got 4 MVPs. Aaron Rodgers got 4 MVPs, and he has a Super Bowl ring and a Super Bowl MVP. How is he? How? I'll say this: Steve Nash's career and the MVPs that he's won, because him winning those back-to-back MVPs, I am still puzzled about that. I still don't understand how he did it. I still don't understand. How can we live in a world where Steve Nash won back-to-back MVP, but Kobe Bryant only got 1 MVP and Shaq only has 1 MVP? How is that possible? That's impossible. I'm sorry, that's impossible. That makes no sense. That makes absolutely no. I can't live in a world where Steve Nash wins back-to-back MVPs in the NBA, but Shaq only got one MVP. Kobe Bryant only got one MVP. You're just like, how? Wow. It just it and Darrell Revis. No, I'm not putting. And like I said, forgive me if I don't know the hockey players, right? But some of these like Steve Nash is not Ed Reed. How is Ed Reed at 99? And he's literally like people say that Ed Reed is the best safety of all time. If football is if American football is the most popular sport in America, and you dominate at a position where you're considered the best at that position, how are you at like the bottom 50? You're like at the last. You're at rank 99. How is that possible? But Steve Nash is at 51. What? This is crazy. Like I like me personally, I don't know where to rank everybody, but I know good and damn well Steve Nash don't belong. He doesn't even belong on this list. Well, I'll say this: the women don't belong on this list. I know that because it's just they need to have their own separate list. It needs to be top 100 female athletes and then top 100 male athletes. They need to have separate lists. But like that's insane. These like how about this? Even for at least with the female athletes that I saw, at least in their respective sports, they were considered the best at their sport, in their respective sports. Like Steve Nash, has he ever even been like, have people even considered him the number one point guard ever? Has he even been considered the number one point guard in anything? Has he ever even been considered the number one point guard just in the league for like a year? That's yeah, Steve Nash, his career and the love that he gets continues to perplex me because I don't get it. I don't get it. I never understood how even like the MVPs he won should have gone to somebody else, and I don't get it. I don't get it. People do talk about there was, I guess, a rule change that he benefited from. I'm not educated enough on that end, but maybe it was that. But I don't get it. First of all, Mbappe, how was Steve Nash over Mbappe? Like Mbappe right now, Mbappe's the best soccer player in the world. Mbappe's literally the best soccer. Currently he's the best soccer player in the world. I'm talking about out of all the players in the world, he's the best. He's been the best player in the world for the past 2 years now. And he's like 15 ranks below a Steve Nash who's never even been the best point guard in his conference ever in his career. Ever. He's never even been the best point guard in his own division. And how is he that? Ohtani might go down as one of the best baseball players of all time. Like at Shohei Ohtani's trajectory, he's gonna go down as one of just the best baseball players, just period, just off of talent alone, just off the talent he has right now. He's gonna go down as one of the best baseball players ever, no doubt about it. Like no doubt about it. And they got this guy like 12 ranks lower, but Steve Nash is at 50. How is Ray Lewis at 61 and and they got Candace Parker over Ray Lewis? That's just wild. This list is wild, man. This list is wild. They have him over Luka Modric. They got Captain Derek Jeter underneath Steve Nash. They got Steve Nash as a better athlete than Derek Jeter. Do you know how disrespectful that is, bro? Do you like any? I don't know if there's any baseball fans in the chat, but do you understand how disrespectful that is to have Steve Nash that high and Derek Jeter? You have Derek Jeter below Steve Nash. Like, do you understand? Like Derek Jeter, like his jersey, his play, his stature, his profile, his baseball profile is so iconic. Even worldwide, people know who Derek Jeter is. How is Steve Nash over all these people in the bottom half? How I don't even know how that's possible. I don't even know how that's possible. Like I said, yeah, Steve Nash is just one of these players. He shocks me on how overrated he is. Like that's just crazy to me. Carlos X said Nash won 2 MVPs. They were controversial then and now. I've never seen him as a top 5 player in his era. No finals appearances. Nobody even considers him a top 5. Yeah, nobody even considers him even a top 5 player. Not even in his own conference when he won those MVPs. The Mike. Yeah, I guess because he was in the Mike D'Antoni system, and they probably didn't see like he was probably the best general, you know what I mean, to run Mike D'Antoni's, system. And it was something that a lot of people didn't really see before. Mike D'Antoni was a bit ahead of his time with his system, with all these players shooting all these threes and whatnot. So with just the constant fast break offense with no break. So I get it on that end, and Steve Nash was probably the best point guard for his system. But we've seen a lot of players go into Mike D'Antoni's system and look really good. Look at James Harden, and he had, first of all, they had James Harden ranked below Steve Nash, and James Harden I think he has more MVPs than Nash. He averaged more points, averaged more assists. James Harden at least has been to a finals in his career. James Harden did lead his team to a Western Conference Finals. I mean, he has a better career just in general than Nash already, and they have him like way below Nash. I don't get it. I still don't get it. Yeah, I was about to say, because at least the female athletes that they chose, were considered like the best in their sports when they were playing. Like Nash has never even been a top 5, or he's probably been in a top 10 list, but definitely not. He's never even been considered a top 5 player, not even in his conference, a top 5 player. I don't get it. I think Nash took advantage of the handshake. Yes, that is true. That's what I was looking for. With no more hand checking. I don't know when they eliminated that rule, but I remember because they were talking. There was a lot of rule changes just in general when Nash took off. That's what I've heard a lot of older NBA players say that. But yeah, I do not get this fascination of the way they try to lift up Steve Nash like he's this great, like this elite of elite players. How is he? He's not even supposed to be on this list. He's not like I'm trying to be respectful, but he's not supposed to even be on this list. They're saying top 100 athletes in the past the year 2000. Basically in the 21st century so far, they got Steve Nash at 50. He's not even supposed to be on this list. Oh man, like yeah, like all the championships, all the awards Derek Jeter has won, the impact on the game. I mean, wow. Exactly. James Harden and Steve Nash should be on this list. But for Steve Nash to be that high, they got Nash over Kawhi. Just throw the list away. Yo, I'll say this, Kawhi technically was a top 2 player in the league in between the year 20, I say between the year 2017, or how do I say this? Yeah, I'll say definitely between 2017 and 2019, Kawhi was definitely a top 2 player in the league. That's my opinion too. I believe that. You know, yeah, I'm gonna say that grape trial. I think that's why he never got it. Yeah, I agree with that as well. That trial that Kobe had, that's I agree. I agree. I agree. This list is crazy. So I already wonder, I'm already in questions, what's going to be their top 50? Who's going to be in their top 50? I'm very curious to know, when they show the top 50, who's going to be on that list. I'm very curious to know when they're going to show that. So you still got athletes like Roger Federer, you still got Nadal, you still got Michael Phelps, you still got Floyd Mayweather, right? You got Messi, you got Cristiano Ronaldo, you got Patrick Mahomes, you have Terrell Owens, right? You still have these guys. So there's still a lot of players that they haven't got into in the top 50. So once that next top 50 hits, I want to see who's on that list. Oh yeah, I forgot, Tom Brady, one of the greatest winners of all time. So I wonder where they're gonna place these people. You got Usain Bolt. You got I did say Michael Phelps. I really believe Usain Bolt. When we just talking about pure domination, and when we talking about at his prime, his peak, he was just miles ahead of everybody else. It's like where it's like it's not even close. Like I've never seen an athlete just stride, and it is just like it's the competition. He's just it, he's basically posing for the finish before in the middle of the damn race, while simultaneously breaking Olympic records, while simultaneously breaking world records, while simultaneously smiling back at his opponent. And the opponent is just trying so hard, and you just see Usain Bolt just like, hold on, let me give you a visual representation of what prime Usain Bolt was. Let me see this. Running scene. Yo, let me oh, they don't got that scene. Have you ever seen that Fat Albert scene in the movie? The movie in Fat Albert, where he was running track, when he was running against Reggie and he was just strolling on the track. He said, "This is easy." That's basically Usain Bolt in the 100 and the 200. It's crazy. It's remarkable. It's just remarkable. Just a remarkable Yeah, I believe that too. Yeah. South Holland said Kawhi Leonard should have probably stayed in Toronto. I believe him leaving Toronto was a big mistake. That was the biggest mistake. He literally had a whole country behind him. He literally had the whole country behind him, and he decided to leave that to go to the Clippers. Oh man, I'm like, did you really want to be in LA? He really wanted to be back home in LA that bad? I was like, you have a whole country behind you, bro. They only got one NBA team in Canada. He had a whole country behind him. He had Drake behind him. Pause. He had all that behind him, and he was literally the king of Canada. When he won that NBA championship for him, he was literally the king of Canada. Forget the king of Toronto. He was literally the king of Canada once he gave him that championship. Man, I'm so mad that he did that. He should have stayed with Toronto. That I never understood. But yeah, because Kawhi Leonard was at his best, he was a top 2 player in the NBA. I wonder where they're gonna rank LeBron. I'm very curious to where they're gonna rank LeBron, where they're gonna put him. He's definitely gonna be in the top 10. I already know that. They're definitely gonna put him in the top 10. I just don't know where in the top 10. I just hope when they make the list, I hope that Tom Brady is not number one. That I will just that will just be disrespectful to just every other player. That's just disrespectful. Let me see. I know the NBA wanted him to stay. That set the league back a bit. Could have drawn a lot more of Canada. Yeah, that I believe Kawhi Leonard, he made a huge mistake. And like I said, Kawhi Leonard is my favorite player in the NBA. Just bottom line, he's my favorite player in the NBA, but he made a huge mistake leaving Toronto. That was a big mistake. He should have stayed. I don't know why to go to the Clippers. That's not it, man. That's not it. That's not it. To go back to go to LA to go to the Clippers, that's not it. In my opinion, that's just my opinion. Said, how much do you want to bet they put LeBron over Kobe and Jordan? I don't think Jordan's going to be on the list because it's athletes, it's the best athletes of the 21st century. You know what I mean? Michael Jordan was 20th century. So they're not going to count those Wizards years. So they're saying of the 21st century, the best athletes of the 21st century so far. And so Jordan's not going to be on that list. But they're definitely, they are going to put LeBron over. I think they are going to put LeBron over Kobe, even though I think Kobe was better than LeBron, but they're probably going to put LeBron over Kobe. But I tell you what, I don't like when it comes to GOAT athlete conversations, I don't want to hear no Tom Brady over LeBron or Tom Brady over Kobe, Tom Brady over Messi, Tom Brady over Cristiano Ronaldo. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see that. It's just disrespectful. That's just disrespectful. And I hope, and Shaq is probably going to be, Shaq's going to be in there. He's definitely going to be in the next 50, in the top 50, obviously. When Shaq was in his prime, he was unstoppable. Let me see. It goes to. Yeah, I'm really curious to see what they put for top 50. Because it's only 2000 and up, so it's gonna be no. Who else can I say? There's gonna be no Michael Jordan. There's gonna be no who else can I think of that ran the 90s? But also I hope they add Barry Bonds. I hope they add Barry Bonds, because technically Barry Bonds is the best baseball player of all time, but people be hating. So I don't know. People be hating, so I don't know. Oh man. He said, gotta be Messi number one, especially after the World Cup. Yeah, it would make sense if Messi was number one. That would make sense. But I would rather put somebody that actually participates in an individual sport. Like if they put like Michael Phelps number one, that would make sense. Or if they put a Usain Bolt, or they put a Roger Federer, because they play in individual sports, You know what? You know what they might do? Because it is ESPN, they might end up putting like Serena Williams as number one over everybody. Because it's ESPN and they do like to do the stuff like that. Because like I said, the females should have their own separate list. The women should have their own separate list. You said Magic Shaq was different kind of beast, and they can't count those years. Yeah, that is true. But they're still going to add Shaq in there because he still was dominant in the early 2000s. He still was dominant, So they're gonna add Shaq to that list. They're definitely gonna add Shaq to that list. Tim Duncan they're gonna definitely add Tim Duncan. I wonder where they're gonna put Steph Curry. I'm trying to see if I'm missing anybody. Let me see. Defensive ends, they're gonna add Aaron Donald and all these people, all those guys. I don't know. There we go. Serena Williams should be the only female on the list. And she should be at 100. No, the only female on this list should be Simone Biles. Because if you actually like in terms of what they judge for in female gymnastics, it's actually plausible to put a female gymnast on there. It's very plausible. And when you look at the stuff that in terms of the routines that Simone Biles has done in terms of how many she's done like apparently Simone Biles is so good. Apparently they're trying to make her moves illegal. Like they're trying to make her the stuff that she does on the balance beam. They're trying to make it like I'm talking about there's like coaches from other countries. They're like, we got to make all the moves that she do, it's illegal. We got to make it illegal. So I was like, oh shoot, you know what? Maybe I've been underrating Simone Biles. I'm like, maybe maybe I've been underrating Simone Biles. I'm talking about you got like coaches from other countries. They're like trying to come together and just say, nah, the moves that she does, it's illegal. I'm like, damn. So that's the only female athlete where I can be like, you know what? She might belong with the big dogs, with the men. She might even like, because I don't really know how gymnastics work, but they have it's still a routine. They still got to do different stuff. Now, like there's certain moves that male gymnasts can do that female gymnasts can do. And conversely, there are moves that female gymnasts can do that male gymnasts can't do. So it's a very, male gymnastics and female gymnastics. It's an interesting, dichotomy. It's an interesting conundrum. So once I learned about that, like I've been trying to educate myself on gymnastics, and I'm like, oh, I think I've been underrating Simone Biles. Like if we actually talk about a female athlete that actually belongs on the list, it's Simone Biles. Out of all the broads, out of all the broads on here, it's not even Serena Williams, because Serena Williams, she couldn't even compete. She said herself, I can't even compete with like the rank number 44 male tennis player. So just off that quote alone, or when you've actually seen her do like doubles with like men, and the men will it'll be like just a regular dude that's like regularly ranked, and and the dude will be destroying Serena, and you're just like, oh, you know. And like the moves apparently that Simone Biles, like apparently she's so good, they're trying to make her moves illegal. So I was like, oh, wow, okay. South Holland said Simone Biles is so much better and more accomplished than everyone else. They can't even grade her routines. That's what I'm saying. They can't even quantify her routines. Like she's that good. I'm like, oh wow, I didn't know. Dude, I didn't know. So I was like, oh wow, okay, wow. I gotta give her props. She belongs on this list. She belongs on this list. Have I seen Simone Biles? Was she in the, maybe I missed her. Let me see if so if she's not at the bottom, if she's not on the bottom 50, that means she's definitely gonna be on the top 50. Let me see. Yeah, they're gonna put her at the top 50. Maybe she shouldn't be ranked that high, but she definitely belongs on the top 100 list. Definitely. She definitely belongs on the top 100 list, especially if you're putting guys like Steve Nash on. You know? Yeah. Yeah, definitely, man. Oh, and also let me give a special shout out to a female Jamaican track runner. I want to give her props before. Let me see. I want to give her props because I did see her on here. Yes, Shelly Ann Fraser Price. I think she should be in, like, obviously I don't really in terms when it comes to female athletes, she's very underrated. She's very underrated. I think she hasn't gotten the shine that she deserves, and she's great on camera. Just to let you know, like Shelly Ann Fraser Price, she's funny. She's a funny athlete. Like she's actually great on camera. Great on camera. But yet the female athletes should have their own separate list. But if you want to tell me the one female athlete that should be on the list with the men it's Simone Biles. He said, "Don't speak too good about her now. Remember, her husband's the prize. Her husband is the prize, though. That's not like I said. The women have created this sexual marketplace, and like I said, like Simone Biles is clearly in love. Like she picked the guy that she wanted. She picked him. She picked the guy that she wanted. Therefore, that makes him the prize. It is what it is." You know, now obviously he doesn't have a better sports legacy than Simone Biles. No, that's not true. But like I said, Simone Biles picked him. You know, he's what's his name? Jonathan Owens is what you would classify as a top 10% guy. Like I said, that's not the sexual market. I didn't create the sexual marketplace. The women did. Price in terms of track is the most accomplished. Exactly. She has in terms of just accomplishments, she's actually really up there, but unfortunately because she's not American, she didn't really get the marketing, push that others have gotten, even though she's a lot more accomplished than many of the ones that did get the push. So I didn't see Simone Biles in the bottom 50, so they're definitely going to put her in the top 50. They're probably going to put Simone Biles in the top 10, but if they put Serena Williams in the top 10, then they definitely got to put Simone Biles up there just in general. So she's going to be somewhere up there in the 50s. So like, because when it comes to female gymnastics, it's actually, even though it is different from male gymnastics, but they're apparently like just how they score and the moves that each gender can do is actually there are moves that each gender can't do. Or one can't do one that's super better than the other. And you're just like, oh, it's two separate sports. So you're like, oh, okay. All right. I've been underrating Simone Biles. I've been clearly underrating her. Like I say, it's usually the really great female athletes that are actually like really good and really powerful and really have rank. Those are the ones that do the less bragging. They don't do the most bragging. It is what it is. And also another thing is because when people were talking about Simone Biles quitting in the last Olympics, well, really what they're kind of discounting is because the first place that she went was to the Jonathan Owens training camp. So I already know what was going on. Like she was low key, she was missing her man and she was trying to so that's another part of the story that they kind of leave out. Why she was kind of experiencing whatever she was experiencing when she was at the last Olympics. Yes, young Doka, they did put Candace Parker on the list. I don't know how or why they did that, but they did. They put Candace Parker on the list. They put her at like in the 60s too. They put her over Lisa Leslie. That's crazy. They put her over Lisa Leslie. Let me see. Where did they put Candace Parker? This should be coming up. Yeah, they put Candace Parker at 60. They put Candace Parker over Ray Lewis and Shohei Ohtani. Oh man, that's crazy, man. That's wild. That's wild. But this is the world that we live in. Oh shoot. Oh man. Oh, I thought I was missing something. Anyways, let's see the comments. They say, yeah, Simone and Jonathan's kid is gonna be a guaranteed athlete. I don't know. I don't know about all that. I don't know about all that. Like, if I was like an athlete, I would be like purposely be like, okay, I would go to like a tall chick that plays in the WNBA or that plays volleyball and be like, okay, we're going to create this kid together. That's what I would do. Particularly because, like I say, if the kid is going to play American sports, Simone Biles is low key going to kind of affect the kid's genetics. Well, unless if they have a daughter, if they have a daughter together, that's different. That's different if they have a daughter. But if they have a male child, he's gonna struggle if he he's gonna struggle. He's gonna struggle because Jonathan Owens is 6 feet tall, but Simone Biles is like 4'9", So that kid's gonna come out like 5'10", 5'9", 5'10". So hopefully he plays soccer or something else, he might need to play a different sport. He could probably still play football, but he's gonna have to play he's gonna have to play running back or something like that. He's gonna have to play running back. But yeah. Also, before I head out, I gotta find. They did like a list, like the best college football players of all time. College football players of all time. They did like a rank. They did a rank. Yeah, they did like. Oh man, I don't think I can find it. But I don't know if I can't find it. Yeah, oh man. I don't think I can find it because it was I heard some dudes on Fox Sports. I heard some dude on Fox Sports. They were talking about this rank on the Bleacher Report. Ranking players. Ranking players. The needs man. I might have to hit. Let me see if I put ranking players, college football. But like they did, like I saw it was like a list that they were talking about, and they said that the list in the top for the top college football players of all time, they said they didn't even have Reggie Bush in the top 20. You're just like, what? Like there was a lot of players that was missing in there that made it, and it made zero sense. It made zero sense. You're just like, what? Like they didn't have Cam Newton at number one. Like for me, when it comes to seasons, like Cam Newton's season with Auburn when he won the national championship, that to me, I put him over most quarterbacks in college football history just off that Auburn season. He literally did it. He literally won the national championship and the Heisman by himself. He literally won it by himself. He had no other NFL player. There was no other player on the offensive end that was drafted in the NFL. People don't even understand what that means? On Cam Newton's team, when Cam Newton won the Heisman and the national championship in the same year, he had no other player on the offensive side that was drafted into the NFL. Not one player that he played with that was drafted in the NFL. And I remember there was one player on the defensive end that got drafted. But I can't remember his name, but he got drafted to the Detroit Lions. I'm like, do you understand how ridiculously hard that is? Like, people want to say Joe Burrow had the best season of all time, and statistically, yes, but he literally had he had two number one wide receiver, two top 10 draft pick wide receivers that he was working with, first round running back in Clyde's Edwards-Helaire. He had Joe Brady as his coordinator on the offensive end. He had a great defense. Like Joe Burrow's team was stacked. but people still want to like like I don't know why people don't want to give Cam Newton his credit. Young Doka said Tim Tebow should be top 5. No, I disagree. I disagree with that. Tim Tebow is massively overrated. Like he's like that's my in my opinion. Tim Tebow is massively overrated. That's first of all the team that he had. I'm not even gonna go in on the accomplishments, but the team that Tim Tebow had. Do you understand how stacked? That is probably the most stacked team I've ever seen in my life. That Florida team, dude. Damn near everybody on that team got drafted. What? He literally had NFL talent on the offensive side. First of all, I don't even consider Tebow wasn't even the best player on that team. that's first of all, that look man. Dude, Percy Harvin was the best player on that team. Percy Harvin, he did everything. He ran, he ran out of the backfield, he caught, he did punt returns, he did kick returns. He was the magic player of the team. I don't even think like, okay, watch this. So South Holland mentioned Lamar Jackson, Mike Vick, Vince Young above Burrow. Look, I'll say this. I understand why you feel that way because those players that you select, that you picked, I would put those players over Tebow. People like Lamar Jackson, he won the Heisman and he was playing at Louisville. He won the Heisman at Louisville. He won the Heisman playing at Louisville. Like before, like especially when he won when Lamar Jackson won his Heisman in the 2016-2017 season. Before he met up with Deshaun Watson, he almost carried his team. If he didn't have to, that close call game with Clemson where the wide receiver that he threw it to didn't fight for that first down. If he fought for that first down and beat Deshaun Watson, he could have carried his team to the national championship. Lamar Jackson was literally that close to carrying that Louisville squad all the way to the national championship, almost beat Deshaun Watson in Clemson. Lamar, when I saw Lamar Jackson in college, I was like, this guy is he's a superhero, dog. Dude, I was like, this guy could fly. I'm like, this guy, like, there's no way if I am playing in college and I'm the defensive coordinator, there's no way if I see them line up in the spread formation, them about to do the read option, there's no way I'm diving at the RB. I'm having a spy on Lamar Jackson the whole game. Fuck all that. Fuck all that. I'm having a spy on Lamar Jackson the whole day because it's literally as soon as he hit a crease, he was gone. Like I'm talking about gone. Lamar Jackson was way better than Tebow. Tebow was basically a fullback / tight end playing the quarterback position. He was just a destructive force of power, meaning basically when it came to third and short, fourth and short, fourth and goal at the 1 yard line, he was basically unstoppable. He would literally just put his head down and he was just in. So I'm not saying that doesn't take skill, but he was just more of a power type. He was basically a power running type player at the quarterback position. You know what I mean? Like he was a power player. You know what I mean? Like it takes for Tebow to get tackled, it takes a few people to take him down. Like he's a fullback. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I looked at Tebow. And then on top, people want to talk about, oh, he's a 2-time national championship winner. Well, the first national championship, he wasn't the starting QB. Chris Leak was the starting QB for that team. Tebow was basically an overglorified Taysom Hill, really. No disrespect. Like he was basically an overglorified Taysom Hill for the Florida team that year when he won the national championship with Chris Leak. Chris Leak was the one throwing the ball. He was the starter. and Tebow would come in on like 3rd and short and like 4th and short, where he was basically unstoppable. Especially once they did like the play actions, the read options, the options, the shovel. Like he was basically unstoppable. He was the triple options. He was basically unstoppable. But because like he was just so bad throwing the ball, Chris Leak, he had to be the starter. He was the starter for the national championship. But he gets no credit for it because Tim Tebow was way popular than Chris Leak at the time. So the way they talked about Tebow, you would have thought he was the starter, but he wasn't. But he was way like Tebow was way more popular than Chris Leak, like ridiculously way more popular. Like it wasn't even close. Like Tebow was like Florida looked like Tebow ran Florida. Like he ran Florida, but Tebow lacked a lot of Tebow lacked skill, dog. And it's no disrespect, but Tebow didn't really have skills. Like Lamar Jackson had skill. Mike Vick had skill. You know what I mean? Vince Young had skill. Joe Burrow had skill. Like Tebow wasn't really a skilled like player. He was more of a football player type rah-rah guy. No disrespect, but like those names that you mentioned, like if you put Lamar Jackson on that Florida team, they would have won. they would have won and lost the same amount of games, if not more. Like if you put like a half decent QB behind some of these SEC teams that was running around here, like do you remember the national championships Alabama would win with like they won the I remember, didn't they with what's it, Jake Coker? Some of the QBs that I seen Alabama won the national championship with Mac Jones. Like what? These like those quarterbacks were trash, dog. But Alabama was so stacked with talent. So like when you look at that Florida team, they were so stacked with talent on the offensive and the defensive end. And Percy Harvin was the best player. Really, it was him. He was the best player on the team. And first of all, Aaron Hernandez at the tight end position, he was he was great. He was awesome. Aaron Hernandez was definitely one of my favorite college tight ends of all time. Him and Colt Ayerla, those were my 2 favorite tight ends of all time in college football. And OJ Howard was really good on Alabama. OJ Howard was a great tight end on Alabama. But yeah. Like Lamar Jackson, Mike Vick, Vince Young, he said he got them over Burrow. But you gotta look, because Lamar Jackson and Mike Vick, particularly Lamar Jackson and Mike Vick, the teams that they were playing on, it was either them or bust. They had nobody else on their team. Vince Young, he even though he had talent on his team, he carried his team as well. Like Vince Young literally carried that team on his back to the national championship for Texas. Vince Young carried that team on his back. So I got more respect for guys like that because like Tebow's team was stacked. And then on top of that, he was playing for a coach. And the system that the coach implemented was supposed to be for Tebow, but Tebow was just so bad at throwing the football, they couldn't start him. And it's no disrespect to Tebow, but I just don't think his skill, he's like, when it comes to just skills, I don't think he was as skilled as Lamar Jackson. I don't think, like me personally, I don't even think Tebow's better than Johnny Manziel. But because when you look at the squads that Johnny Manziel but particularly when we talking about Lamar Jackson, the squads that Lamar Jackson played with, and then technically Lamar Jackson should have 2 Heismans because his second year was actually better than his first year stats wise. But I forgot who they gave it to. Young Doka say, "Yeah, you convinced me on Tebow." And like I said, it's no disrespect to Tebow, but Tebow lacked a lot of skills. He really lacked. He was lacking in the skills department. Let me see if I can really find that article. South Holland said that that Hernandez documentary was crazy for everyone to know how much trouble he was, but still be like, nah, he's too talented to put off this team. That just shows how good. Yeah. And plus, Aaron Hernandez, he's from Connecticut. But yo, Aaron Hernandez, he was sick. Like, that's one of the best. His talent at that, he was like, you can never deny that man's talent. Like Aaron Hernandez, you can never deny. Like, I'm just saying, for a guy to be from Connecticut and go to and still like, you, if you're getting recruited from a place from like Connecticut to play football at an SEC team school, that means you're the real deal. Bottom line. Bottom line, if you're getting recruited from Connecticut to play football down south, and they're like, "Nah, we need you," that means your talent is legit. That means especially when you're talking about these northern high school players, and you're being recruited from up north to play down south, where these players are already mutants. That means your play. Ooh, that means your play is legit. You know. I'm trying to think. South Holland also said, Tebow equals American hero. Yeah, they really pushed Tebow. Like because they knew that Tebow like really sold a lot of headlines. So they knew that Tebow just putting Tebow in their headlines in their news articles, they know they can get a lot of clicks off that. Ranking college football players. Tebow. Let's see the biggest college. Because I'm trying to find that list. But like I said, because Cam Newton literally had nobody on his team. Cam Newton literally did it by himself. And for some reason, people still don't want to give Cam Newton his credit. Like Cam Newton was a god at Auburn. No Diddy. No Diddy. See, the greatest. I'm trying to find that list. But yeah, there's a lot. First of all, there's a lot of college quarterbacks in general that I would take over Tebow. Like there's a lot of college quarterbacks just in general. You mentioned them. You mentioned Vince Young. You mentioned Mike Vick, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson. People might forget this name. Do you guys remember Troy Smith when he was on Ohio State University? Troy Smith, the Heisman winner from Ohio State University. Troy Smith was amazing. You know what I mean? Like they're like, like imagine, Deshaun Watson. I definitely take Deshaun Watson over Tim Tebow. Deshaun Watson put up a legendary effort to beat that Alabama defense in 2016. And that, like I said, that 2016 Alabama defense, that's probably the best defense I've ever seen in my life. That's probably the best defense I've ever seen in my life. They held how many yards? I remember once they faced LSU, they beat LSU 7-0, bro. How? Dude, they just dominated that line of scrimmage. Fournette could run nowhere, dog. Leonard Fournette had nowhere to run, bro. And Leonard Fournette literally lit up everybody else before that game. But Alabama was there on a mission, man. They were just like, you shall not pass. It was like, you will not pass. Now, as a football player, I definitely take, as when it comes to like just football players in general, I definitely take Reggie Bush over a Tebow. And like I said, Chris Leak doesn't get the credit that he deserves because he was very low profile. He's a very low profile guy. And on top of that, it's just he wasn't that marketable. And he was one of the first like miniature height quarterbacks because Chris Leak was 5'11 or 5'10. If I'm not mistaken, he was 5'11 or 6 feet tall. And a lot of, scouts were going in on his height. They were saying that he was too small to play, unfortunately. Oh yeah, and then when you look at Chris League already had like a scholarship for like the best football programs in the world at like 8th grade. Like, so Chris League literally his whole young life has always been a legit talent. But anyway, I think what time is it right now? It's 5:56. Yeah, that should be it for me today. That's it for me today. But yeah, when it comes to USA basketball, y'all in trouble. You guys are in trouble. I'm not saying they're not going to win, but they're going to struggle. They're definitely going to struggle, and a wake up call is needed for USA basketball. They need to do things differently. They definitely need to do things differently. But yeah, sorry guys, because I got a rehearsal that I gotta drive to in a minute. First of all, I gotta get that nap in, and then I gotta get that drive. So before I leave, it's what is South Holland that Hernandez? Yeah, Hernandez. South Holland said Ben Roethlisberger in college was better than Tebow. Man went to Miami of Ohio and killed it. Yes. Oh, another overrated player in college football history, Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence, massively overrated. Massively overrated. Like, if you're making a rankings, because my comp for Trevor Lawrence coming into the NFL, do you know who I compared him to? I compared him to Jameis Winston. Both played in a weak ACC. Well, at least Jameis Winston won a Heisman. At least Jameis Winston got a Heisman. Trevor don't even got a Heisman. Both of them turnover prone in a weak ACC. So like that was my comparison. That was my comparison. Like, Trevor Lawrence is no different than Jameis Winston, in my opinion. No different than Jameis Winston. Said Miami of Ohio. Yeah, nobody ever heard of Miami of Ohio since. Yeah. Ben definitely put them on the map. Young Doka says, you think that the list is gonna put Conor McGregor above John Jones? Oh yeah, because I didn't see Conor McGregor there, but they put John Jones so low. They put John Jones way too low. Like, people like at the time were saying that John Jones was like the best MMA fighter of all time. There's still plenty of people that believe that. If you ask Dana White and these people, they believe that. So yeah, John, like, yeah, they're probably gonna try to sneak McGregor in there. They're gonna try to sneak McGregor in there. I don't like that ish, man. They're gonna try to sneak him in there. But yeah, that'll be all for me today on the sports stream. I ended up spending a lot of time on the soccer stuff because I spent I'm way too passionate on that. But yeah, like I say, Team USA basketball, they're in trouble. They're in trouble. They're gonna struggle. It's not gonna be an easy Olympics, and if they're not on their A game, they can be eliminated. They need to, because like the team is old. Most of the best players are over 34 or 33 years old. The only real explosive young star is Anthony Edwards. But yeah, man, thank you guys, man. Thank you for tuning in. South Holland, Young Doka, thank you. I know Young Doka came in a little bit later, but he participated a lot on this one because he was like, "Nah, damn, I'm 2 hours in." I was like, nah, don't worry, I didn't even say anything. But at least you came in when we started talking about Nash. They had Nash way too high on that list. So when that top 50 list comes out, if I forget, please remind me. Please remind me, because once that top 50 list for ESPN comes out, and we already know it's a troll job because ESPN does the ESPN thing. So please remind me on that one. And thank you, Carlos X, for tuning in, Pyro for tuning in. Thank you guys for tuning in on this sports stream. I will do more sports streams in general. People have been telling me to do that. Because I really like that Caitlin Clark stream that I did. It was a whole lot of different type of people coming into the stream of different like backgrounds. So I like that. So Young Doka said, have a good one. I'm about to go watch your vid on the single girl. Oh yeah, you're gonna like that one. You're gonna like that one. That girl is batshit crazy. Anyways, man, thank you for tuning into the stream, and I'm out of here, man.